That restoration began 200 years ago this spring when God the Father and his Son Jesus Christ appeared to the young Joseph Smith.
We declare without equivocation that God the Father and his Son, the Lord Jesus Christ, appeared in person to the boy Joseph Smith. Our whole strength rests on the validity of that vision. It either occurred or it did not occur. If it did not, then this work is a fraud.
This is not the Church of Emmanuel, Christ, of Latter-day Saints, of Joseph Smith. This is the Church of Jesus Christ.
So plain and precious. Finally, the Book of Mormon is the keystone of
Emmanuel.
Just as the arch crumbles if the keystone is removed, so does all the church fall with the truthfulness of the Book of Mormon. The enemies of the church understand this clearly.
Travis Wayne Goodsell. I noticed this morning that my one thing videos are breakouts, which is unusual. YouTube's not able to rein them in, keep it under control. So, we'll do another one. I woke up this morning and ended up with a onset of a potential sore throat. So you can tell I'm a little raspy. So I did a rush to the grocery store for grapefruit juice, and they didn't have any. They were all sold out because they were on sale. So I had to settle for pineapple juice. It tastes good, but it doesn't have the acidity that grapefruit juice does. That has typically helped me in the past. So, life sucks. And this morning, also, while I noticed the bombshells, or the breakouts, I had an exfo, or a nevermo, make a comment out of ignorance. And so, yes, thus the one thing video here. Be the one with only one. And that's not it. Is this it? Did he comment on somebody else's? Nope, that's the guy flirting with other. Oh, yeah, here it is. Okay. You're obviously new to my channel, guys. Been doing videos for years. I'm getting closer every video to 3.9K on this channel, which is getting closer to catching TWG's channel. And so, yeah, another one thing that everybody makes is rushing to a hasty conclusion because you were lied to by somebody else. And so therefore you think you're right, and therefore I must be wrong. You don't even bother to learn to know who I am and what my accomplishments are and what my credentials and degrees and certificates and publishings and blah, blah, blah. And I can understand your faith bubble needs to be preserved at all costs. You don't want somebody coming along who knows better than you bursting your faith bubble, or doubt bubble if you're an exfo nevermo. But the church that Joseph Smith founded is Jewish, not Christian. Already did that. That was one of the one things. I think that was the first one thing. Shh. want to laugh. I'm going to be bursting out coughing. There it is. And so, yeah, apparently they're just, everybody's illiterate. Book of Mormon, Keystone of Mormonism, First Nephi, the very first book, chapter 1, the very first chapter, verse 2, the second verse, learning of the Jews. And in case you're illiterate and don't comprehend, it's the religion of the Jews, pre-Babylonian captivity Egyptian Jews. Verse 4. Book of Mormon is plain and precious. It's not Christian. And so you pull a Constantine when you call Joseph Smith of the Book of Mormon Christian. Ooh, yeah, the Bible. Jewish, not Christian. Oops, you're a white supremacist Christian nationalist Nazi. How does that make you feel? And so, William Burns has become a puppet for other people doing doubt promotion videos. He says Mormonism is goofy and false. How so many people have been duped into it attests that it's satanic organization and control. I would have thought that the inverted pentagram on the keystone of the doors of the headquarters Salt Lake Temple would have attested to the fact that it worships Lucifer. But whatever. Don't make me laugh. Mormon Church's prophets, seers, revelators. Notice he doesn't put translators, because the prophets, seers, revelators never claim translator. You know, if you actually listen to conference rather than going on vacation and then blaming me who listened to conference when I do my videos, you would know they never acknowledge translator. It's in our scriptures. Joseph Smith was, and nobody believes him. Not Mormons, not Expo Nevermos. And so he's saying that prophet, seer, and revelator is spiritualism. I just did the video this morning again. Prophet, seer, revelator, translator are science. They are not spiritualism. It is Christianity that turned it into spiritualism, that turned it into witchcraft, to make an enemy of the Jews. It's abominable. Treasure hunters and Mormon books inspired by the adventures of Captain Kidd. And now we know exactly whose video channel he's been watching. Just want to let out obscenities for that dumbass who's a psychologist. And I warn you, and you're all brainwashed by him into his cult, as he purposely poaches you when you come out of Mormonism with your faith crisis because you didn't use science to study the church. God. And so, you're a false prophet from the beginning. Oops, you mean Brigham Young, right? He's talking about money dig and treasure hunters. So no, he's not talking about Brigham Young. Because you notice, none of the prophets, seers, revelators from Brigham Young on to Nelson never do what Joseph Smith did. Yet they claim Joseph Smith is a prophet, seer, revelator because of what he's claimed to do, which they call literal history, just like the Bible, just like the Book of Mormon. Just as Christians make that mistake too with the Bible. And so the prophets, seers, revelators deny prophet, visions, and revelations. Prophecy, visions, and revelations. They deny it. They don't do anything with it. They claim the titles. They say that whatever they do in the office that they hold is it. But it's not it, because Joseph Smith did something completely different than what they're claiming they're doing. Because Joseph Smith did this stuff too, and they didn't call that prophecy and revelation. Because they denied translation, which is obviously science of linguistics. And so yes, if you're confused, how can prophecy and revelation be science? Weather girls, hello. You've been missing recent videos. Utah's own weather prophetess and revelatoress, Allison Krogan. Did you notice that the first picture of her and the last picture of her had text? Anybody make the connection? There's a reason. She's pregnant in the last one. Anybody catch on to that? No? Try to teach you guys how to learn how to learn. You're a prophet from the beginning and current day only a conduit of the father of lies. William, if only you knew baby name meanings of Marion or Russell Marion. He's just throwing stuff out. He's upset with the church for deceiving people and lying. From what he heard from second or third or fourth or fifth hand information. And is going around preaching falsehoods, just like missionaries go around preaching falsehoods. Which, on that same comment page, George Herzog had made a comment the previous day saying proselytization subverts the U.S. Constitution. It doesn't matter who does it. And so Phil Martin 6627 is asking how. No. Stay away from other people on my channel. You want to talk to me. And if you're being abusive, using ad hominems, being a dumbass like William, you're going to get banned. You obviously don't want to watch my channel. You don't want to learn. You're just using my channel to promote your lies and deceptions and your hate. Ain't gonna happen. Okay? So, where is it? Oh, it's on the back. I thought it was the grocery list. So this is the mistake. You're not using science to investigate the church. You'll hear something from somebody else. D. Michael Quinn had found out about the rock in a hat and some magic stuff. Gerald and Sandra Tanner likewise did, independent of D. Michael Quinn, and both published books about that. And they're wrong. Because they're trying to claim that Joseph Smith was using star charts for witchcraft purposes. And they justify it by saying that somebody claimed that Joseph Smith was talking about how an evil spirit was forbidding him from getting the plates, and they sunk into the ground, and some creature also popped up, and mass chaos and confusion. And so then Mark Hoffman who finds out about this, decides, hey, I'm going to get revenge on the church for lying to me about church history. So he forges documents, and one of them was the Salamander letter, in which the Salamander talks to Joseph Smith and says that his son, Joseph Smith III, is supposed to succeed him as president of the church. And the prophets at the time were convinced that this must be real, paid Mark Hoffman a Deseret coin and some other stuff. Got their picture in the paper. And then covered it all up. Hid it in their archives so that nobody would know about it. Until Mark Hoffman blew himself up and others, and thus is now in prison, unless he's dead now finally. I don't know. May he rot in hell. You don't fight fire with fire. Unless it's an actual fire, then you should fight fire with actual fire. But as an analogy, no, that's stupid. You can't do it on behavior. It's like it takes two to tango. Yeah, if it's an actual tango. But it does not take two to tango when you're using it as an analogy for blaming people. If somebody comes along, smacks you in the head, and you're going, what the hell? And so you defend yourself. Does it take two to tango? Are you to blame for him beating on you? No. Lucifer, in the Mormon pre-mortal council in heaven, decides, screw you, Heavenly Father, I'm doing my own plan, I'm going to save everybody. Is Heavenly Father to blame? Is Jesus to blame? Does it take three to tango? No. It's an evil doctrine when you use wrong analogies. It's a fallacious argument, too. And so, people are finding lots of plagiarisms in the Book of Mormon. Captain Kidd being one of them. It is legitimate. Captain Kidd is plagiarized in the Book of Mormon. The most common mistake that people are making, that Gerald and Sandra Tanner also made, is claiming that View of the Hebrews is plagiarized in the Book of Mormon. No. In order to have plagiarism, you have to have a text that you can find in the Book of Mormon. That's plagiarism. View of the Hebrews has nothing to do with the Book of Mormon. No plagiarism. I had a computer research study to find this out. No, it's not in there. But they found other stuff in there. And so, this is where people need to catch on to what's going on. They're not catching on. You don't hastily conclude with a small sampling of the full picture of evidence. You got to keep going until you get the pieces of the puzzle together. You gather the evidence, you develop a theory, you get it tested for confirmation. 3 confirmations, you've established a fact. And so when I deciphered Paleo-Hebrew, it was multiple confirmations, not just 3. So there was, we won't go over the list, but it involved the actual script matching with Egyptian, script matching with Greek, script matching with Chinese, Chinese, script or vocabulary matching with Greek, even with Chinese, vocabulary matching with Chinese, single letter matching vocabulary. Because I discovered with my decipherment that Paleo-Hebrew is a visionary language, and thus discovered with my decipherment that the vocabulary contains prefix and suffix determinatives. Ooh, big word, huh? Adjectives. And so, yes, you got to use multiple ways to confirm something before you can go around claiming it's true. And every single one of you who claims that Joseph Smith used contemporary books to plagiarize the Book of Mormon, you're all wrong. Because linguistic science has confirmed Sidney Rigdon is the major author of the Book of Mormon, whether you agree or not. Your opinions mean nothing. And so are you going to be a Karen and call the cops on me because I'm exposing the truth? Anybody remember when I had the email from a person and they got mad at me because the Book of Mormon's Jewish and said, "Don't ever email me again. You email me or I'm calling the cops." God. Karens are branching out. It used to be, "You're black, I'm calling the cops." Now, Karen has expanded their horizon. Dear God. And so, this is a fact. Every single one of you, when doing a video, when listening to somebody doing a video, if they do not use the fact that Sidney Rigdon is the major author, any conclusion they make is automatically wrong. Is that too complicated? William is wrong. Joseph Smith did not use Captain Kidd. But Captain Kidd is in the Book of Mormon. How can that be? Because Joseph Smith Jr., have to specify, had nothing to do with the composition within the Book of Mormon. So who had the Captain Kidd books? Obviously Sidney Rigdon. Duh, remember? The major author, confirmed. Linguistic science. The Late War. Yep, Sidney Rigdon. Unless you can find it in the 116 pages also. Because Sidney Rigdon is not the author of the 116 rewritten pages. Who is? Expo Nevermos know. Lucy Mack revealed it. And nobody catches on. You assume incorrectly that Joseph Smith Jr., having heard the Tree of Life dreams of his father, plagiarized them in the Book of Mormon. But Joseph Smith had nothing to do with the composition of the Book of Mormon. He was in timeout for the rest of the translation period. A whole year. And so, as they were about finished, Sidney Rigdon and whoever rewrote it, the 116 pages, they then begin to have Joseph Smith announce, "A marvelous work and wonder is about to come forth among the children of men." You didn't even start it yet. What are you talking about to come forth? Shouldn't you wait until you're actually about to finish? It's these little things that you got to catch. And so if you go to section 10 in the Doctrine and Covenants, you'll see Bruce R. McConkie made a boo-boo. He put 1828. Because he knows if it's 1829, Joseph Smith didn't write the Book of Mormon. Real simple and easy. And so yes, Joseph Smith Sr. is the author of the rewritten 116 pages. Thank you, you're welcome. That was me and my contribution. Because again, nobody is caught on. It's in Wikipedia if you do your research, despite the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints trying very hard to cover up and hide the truth in Wikipedia. William Morgan was a York Rite Royal Ark Mason. He learned in the War of 1812 of a plot to overthrow the United States of America and eventually the world. And so he was able to get the Batavian Press to front him the money so that he can spend full time working on the book. He can't be in Batavia. People are going to want him dead if they find out he's working on the book. His family will be put in jeopardy. The press will be put in jeopardy. And so he has to find a different place among his York Rite brethren to work on the book. And so he found a fellow brother, Master Mason, at the Lodge of Canandaigua, New York. Did you check your maps for any of this stuff in your research? You didn't? Why not? And so who's the Master Mason of the Lodge of Canandaigua, New York? Joseph Smith Sr. Heber C. Kimball knew. Heber C. Kimball lied under Masonry. But in telling the lie, he reveals the truth of what he did actually know. I'll let you look it up yourself. Heber C. Kimball, William Morgan under disappearance, and Joseph Smith Sr., Ontario Lodge number 23. And so 9/11/1826, they found out. And because they found out, they threatened him, just like a criminal mob does. Do not do it, or we will murder you with a false arrest. And so, as the Master Mason, which, thanks again to me, I'm the one who figured out that William Morgan's published book, which wasn't his published book, he didn't finish. How can that be his? Is actually by Joseph Smith Sr. Because David Miller didn't know enough about Freemasonry to know all that information. He had to talk with somebody who was a Master Mason to provide him with the information for that book. Canandaigua, New York. And so, because Junior was babysitting Martin Harris, the money, the piggy bank, to publish the Book of Mormon, and they had to find a different press once they'd get it finished. You can't go to the same press and then come out with a book, because you got to try to distance from other people who are trying to murder whoever has the missing manuscript pages and who got informed of this secret combination to destroy the United States and then the world. You gotta figure out ways to not let them know. But despite it all, Heber C. Kimball knew. He found out. And he tells us in his journal, which is on his Wikipedia page. And there's some difference in his actual journal, but it's not important for this. And so, knowing these facts, then you've got to say, okay, well, why are they plagiarizing contemporary works? Over 3 dozen different works. Sidney Rigdon also had a crush on a female writer, used 2 or 3 of her works. within the Book of Mormon. And we also learn why Parley P. Pratt was the one targeted to be the plausible deniability to get Sidney Rigdon into the church so that he can get paid for the work. Remember, Martin Harris fell through. And so, Sidney Rigdon, Baptist Campbellite, had different views on his religion, and they're in the Book of Mormon. You know, at the time where he thought he was going to die and still has more time, and so he's going to put some other information in here for us. Yeah, that's Sidney Rigdon. Joseph is on timeout for a whole year, and so now there's time. Time keeps on ticking, ticking, ticking into the future. Okay? Real simple. Mormons try to deny, and they'd say, well, yeah, but Joseph Smith said this. No, you're not getting it. You're trying to call it literal history. You're not understanding prophecy and revelation. The visions are prophecy and revelation. Prophecy predicting the future, like a weather girl, weather prophetess, and revealing the day and the hour. The weekly forecast. Science. And so, yes, there's a reason why Joseph Smith organized the church on Tuesday or Thursday. It wasn't on Sunday. Wasn't on the Sabbath. See, because you got to know the religion of the Smiths. They weren't Presbyterian. Weren't Methodists. That was Emma and her family, though. And Brigham Young. Notice Joseph Smith talks to a Methodist preacher. That was right at the time where he loses the 116 pages. His child dies. Martin Harris takes advantage of that. Because Martin Harris also was demanding to get copies of the plates so that he can then run off to New York to verify them. Oh, Joseph. That is a high-risk maneuver. You better consult with Daddy first. But nonetheless, they were able to use it to try to claim that it's the fulfillment of the Isaiah prophecy. And critics complain, but that's how they did it. To try to save face with what Martin Harris was trying to ruin, so that they can be able to pay for the Book of Mormon. I had a Mormon think that he owned me, and that everything is proven false, by claiming that in the Joseph Smith papers, a document of a land sale for Joseph to build a home in Harmony, Susquehanna County, Pennsylvania, from his father-in-law. People just don't think. They're illiterate. And they think they found something, and then, oops, John Welsh started Mormon apologetics. Russell Marion Nelson, back in 1993, does a whole paper on John Welsh. Oops! Do I still have that in this file? Oh, it might be in the church. A Treasured Testament, Elder Nelson, July 1993, in the Ensign. It's all John Welsh that he's talking about. He doesn't seem to understand. John Welsh exposed, accidentally, unintentionally, he thought he was proving the church true, the Book of Mormon true, by finding the late war as Hebrew chiasmus in the Book of Mormon. Nope. Plagiarism. And so Nelson claims that the Book of Mormon is true because of John Welsh. Nope. Now, yes, William is correct. False prophet. And if he understood baby name meanings, Russell Marion is Lucifer. Red star of the sea, which is Mars. The husband of Venus, Lucifer's symbol. Thus, Venus is the woman who's therefore the church of Lucifer with the symbol of Lucifer, and Mars as her husband is Lucifer. Real simple, hilarious. Book of Mormon is true. Mormons don't like it. Mormons don't believe the Book of Mormon is true. They have to deny prophecy and revelation to do so. So, yeah, but it's not complicated. Because Harmony is north of Pennsylvania, or Pittsburgh, you know, where Sidney Rigdon got the manuscript found from the press there. And where people try to claim, incorrectly, that they shared a post office. But Sidney Rigdon wasn't in the place where Solomon Spalding was at the same time period, different time periods. And so, yeah, sure, they had a shared post office, but time apart, so that they never bumped into each other. And so Sidney Rigdon never stole the book. Too many people try to claim that Sidney Rigdon stole Solomon Spalding's book. Never met him. Never bumped into him. So how then did he get the book? Well, because Solomon Spalding submitted it to the print press and had them hold on to it until he could get the money to pay for it. The press cannot claim somebody else's work and publish it without the author paying for it. And so there it sat. And then he died. The print press can't do anything with it. His kids never came to the press to claim it. And so the press can only throw it away or give it away. And since Sidney Rigdon had his accident and required, because of the accident, to plagiarize his sermons, he was the chosen vessel of the Lord to be the major author of the Book of Mormon, as he acquired freely Solomon Spalding's manuscript. And so when Senior got a hold of him to work on the book, Sidney Rigdon told him. It's in section 3 and section 10. They knew. They believed that nobody knew of the book because nobody claimed it. He died. And so an unpublished work, let's use it as the template for the Book of Mormon. Unfortunately, people did know about his book. He used to read it to the people at the tavern at his home, as well as to his kids. And he had other similar manuscripts. There was one particular one that's around, you can get the PDF version of. He did it in the Roman period time instead. So he had a similar theme, he just kept reworking it into different books. So lack of originality on his part. But he did his research because he was using the native Indian people in the area that had long since been gone and had a graphic, detailed understanding of well, it could be Joseph Smith Sr. because he rewrote the 116 pages. There was another Mormon who tried to claim that the geography of the Book of Mormon is true and proved it by claiming that nobody during that time period knew anything about the geography of the Middle East and the Sinai. and the frankincense trail leading to Bountiful. There's all kinds of maps. Everybody knew. It's just you get people that have to lie in order to prove the truth. To preserve their faith bubble. You cannot dismiss evidence. You cannot dismiss facts. Your conclusion is automatically wrong, and you just look stupid. And so, yeah, Mormonism Unveiled got published in 1834 because the Book of Mormon came to Solomon Spalding's town, and they went, wait a minute, this sounds very familiar. Oops. And so, time passages, and they didn't have Google search back then, and so, yeah, it died out, apparently. As the church was still able to grow, mostly because of the lies of Brigham Young and his missionaries, who were called Danites. So, yeah, it's a big problem when people believe the lies of Brigham Young and his Danites and don't even bother to find out that they were lying. 14 million Mormons, plus or minus, have left the church because they found out that the church is lying. And many people who are critics who go onto YouTube to do videos are merely spreading those lies. You know, Captain Kidd, Joseph Smith plagiarizing to make money because he was a money digger. No. Because hilariously, Joseph Smith somehow had $2,000 on him to buy the land to build a home. Really, Joseph? Wait a minute. Martin Harris was the guy to pay for the Book of Mormon because you didn't have any money because you were working for Josiah Stoll, failed to find any silver in the mines, which were over closer to Harmony north of Pittsburgh. But a nephew or cousin or whoever sued Joseph Smith for not finding any silver in Bainbridge, New York, where Joseph Smith had previously eloped with Emma. Because Daddy didn't like him. And so, yeah, Joseph had no money. And yet somehow he has $2,000 now to purchase land at the other Harmony in Pennsylvania, which was no longer called Harmony for years. The name was changed before Joseph Smith Sr. arrived in Palmyra in 1816. And that one was a little tricky to find, but I found it. The Susquehanna website. They had a little thing there, and they didn't put it in sequential chronological order. And so I was reading through, and then they'd go back in time, and then they'd skip forward in time, then go back in time. Very frustrating. Trying to figure out when the name got changed when. But it was started when the Pony Express came to Pennsylvania. You can't have the same name of a city in the same state. Causes confusion for the Pony Express. They didn't have the zip codes, area codes, whatever, back then in those days. And so, yeah, now you can do it. It'd still be confusing for the Postal Service, as there's potential for errors. but nonetheless it could be done. But, name was changed several times, and several times even after. And so it was no longer called Harmony. But they knew it was called Harmony. And because 116 pages almost exposed them, Martin Harris was a part of the anti-Mason committee in Palmyra. And it means that Martin Harris was concerned that there was too much Freemasonry information in the original 116 pages of William Morgan. And so he took it back to his committee to see if they thought so too. And so thus, Martin Harris is called the evil man, who's going to try to destroy the work. And so these things are vital and important to get right when you're doing real church history. Can't just assume that, somebody told you Captain Kidd is in the Book of Mormon, that therefore Joseph Smith did it. You throw out all these ad hominem attacks on him because of the one or few things you heard, because they've all concluded incorrectly. And so yes, there are plagiarism, but your conclusions are wrong, because you're purposely leaving out evidence or adding evidence that doesn't exist so that your conclusion is true. You can't do that when you're doing a theory research. And so, D. Michael Quinn, wrong. Gerald and Sandra Tanner, wrong. Others, wrong. You gotta put all the evidence together. You can't leave it all out. You gotta explain everything. And so, yeah, people have tried to throw in stuff that they think I've never heard of. And if I hadn't heard about it, and I do the research, sure enough, bombshell. And again, another confirmation. Because I've already established it as a fact. So I'm not worried. Nobody can come to me and with some kind of evidence to ruin the whole thing. It's already established as fact. Anything you come to add will support it as fact. That's what nobody seems to understand. So, and then errors in history, I just told you. Evidence. Let the evidence lead to the historical narrative. And so, Joseph Smith's history? Nope, all false. It's not a history. So what is it then? Oh, right, prophecy and revelation. And so, it's not lying about his history. He was specifically doing it just like the Jews were doing. But Christians are the ones who turn the Jews into literal history. And so now the Jews are lying. Science confirmed the Jews are lying. No. Science confirmed Christians are lying with their interpretation of the Jewish scriptures. Just like science is confirming that anybody Christianizing Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon are wrong. And so that's what Mormons don't get who continue to remain in the church. They're afraid to learn the truth because they'll become an apostate, anti-Mormon, antichrist Korahar. And get a faith crisis. Oh no, my bubble burst. Mommy! No! Knowledge. Let the evidence lead to the conclusion. And you won't have a faith crisis. Remember the Zoramites? They were kicked out because of their poverty, because they thought that you could only worship Jesus on Sunday. You tell me you didn't go to church today. It's a Babylonian holy day. superstitious day. We're all going to die, we can't work on the Sabbath, which was Saturday. Thus the Jews, after they were taken captive into Babylon, began to use Saturday as their Sabbath day. What? Oopsies! Somebody got assimilated to the Babylonian Borg. And it shows. And so no, the pre-Babylonian captivity Jewish Egyptians worshiped God on any day they wanted, just like Alma told the Zoramites. Ta-da! But yeah, it was Sidney Rigdon who wanted to do that, but that's the Sabbath day video I had, and it's almost an hour, so we'll stop. And I shouldn't even be speaking at all, but nonetheless here I am. So stop making errors, X-Phone Evermost. Quit coming to my channel thinking you're going to tell me I'm wrong when you never even bothered to check me out to see what I'm talking about. God. Just makes you stupid. And so yeah, a certain psychologist who poaches ex-Mormons in their faith crisis, he's upset with me and he tells people to stay away from me, as well as his zombie followers who like, well, he's a good man, he just fell in love with his co-worker. Whole nother tangent. I caught his thumbnail done by his co-worker. She had a crush on him. It was blatantly obvious. Just like the Tim Ballard scandal. Let's ask your wife if I can be a plural wife for you. And if she says no, let's murder her. Oh my God. Once a Mormon, always a Mormon.